Okay, so let's start talking about what a discipline is. So disciplines are basically underpinned by theories. So project management is a discipline, but project management is actually a weak discipline. And the reason it's weak is because theoretically we don't think it's been around long. You know, when you say to most people, how long has project management been around? They'll say, well, you know, probably since the 50s, 60s, and so on. You know, what's the history to it? And there doesn't seem to be much history. Now, theories are very important because they drive the way a discipline evolves. They guide the research and they identify the bodies of knowledge. So right now, if you look at medicine, just Google theory of medicine, Wikipedia, you'll see that there's a lot about this unified theory of medicine. They're trying to create this one theory that basically pulls all the strands together. And it basically encompasses the variety of different practices that are out there. So a theory is very, very important. And the problem with project management, the way that project management has evolved is it evolved by a bunch of practitioners, people out there in the field, basically starting to pull together the bodies of knowledge. And they did that without a theory. And one of the reasons they did it without a theory is because academic research into project management didn't start. It's only started in the last 15, 20 years. It's not been around very long. And the reason why is because project management it has existed for thousands of years, but it's been buried under different disciplines. So when you actually ask someone, so what is the theory behind project management? There's different views. And there's basically, you could say, well, isn't project management to do with engineering, optimization, right? Another view is, well, it deals with people, so surely it should fall into the social sciences area. So there's a big dichotomy over where project management actually sits. And if you read here, quote from Morris, the lack of theoretical underpinning has held back the development of project management. He's saying that because we don't have a comprehensive theory of what project management actually is, you know, how can we develop the bodies of knowledge? So if you actually take a step back and say, well, you know, okay, so what can be the theories behind project management? There are basically three major ones. You know, one is this operational process view. Now that has dominated the thinking to project management over the last 2-3 decades. And I'm saying right now, that's fine, but if you look at the historiography, it's rooted in projects that came out in the 60s that were mega projects, principally post-Second World War, principally engineering projects. So I'm talking about Polaris, Manhattan, Polaris, and the Apollo program. Those were the most influential projects that influenced the evolution of the bodies of knowledge that we live with today. Now think about those projects. What were they? Large, mega projects, traditional lines, very much waterfall projects, right? And that's where the body of knowledge got developed. So we've got this operational theory. We've also got this strategic business theory. Now one of the things that many organizations have been grappling for the last decade is, well, how does project management fit into the strategic intent of an organization? All those problems came up in today, in the mega projects that you brought to the attention. That's one of the biggest issues. How do you actually ensure that the stakeholders, that projects are brought to at the right level and into an organization at a strategic level and fit into the strategic intent of an organization? So we've been focusing a lot on how to build a PMO and where a PMO fits in. Unfortunately, project management is still viewed as it's still not viewed at a strategic level in many organizations, and it's still got a long way to come. The third theory underpinning is this one that's based on the social sciences and the leadership framework. So this is another view, and it brings in behavioral theory, it brings in organizational theory, and so on. This is another way of viewing it. And then on top of that, you've got other theories that can be brought in, like there's theories within business management that could underpin it, or contingency theories. So there's many theories that are out there, and the challenge is what should be, you know, the guiding theory behind project management. We know right now that it's dominated by that first one. And if you actually look at the bodies of knowledge that are actually out there in the world, there's four main bodies of knowledge. There's the PMBOK through the PMI. Look at the dates, those are important. There's been a sort of steady evolution of these. Now, the PMBOK, from my research, was basically developed in the 80s, and it was developed as a differentiator. It was all about, Kevin, I mean, you told the story very well about the PMBOK. It was all about how can we find the differences that differentiate the PMBOK to other disciplines. So when it was developed, it came up with six? It was six knowledge areas initially, I think it was, in 83, and now it's developed to 10. So the roots of the PMBOK have been about, well, how do we differentiate project management to other disciplines? Well, let's identify what's unique. And in many ways, when you actually step back on that, that probably was the best way of approaching it at the time from a practitioner perspective, because there was no underpinning theory and so on. But actually, when you look at it now, it's very flawed, because it doesn't look at the holistic nature of a project. It doesn't look at the totality. All it's saying is, give me the bits that are different and that are different and differentiate us to any other discipline. Now, the thinking changed with the UK PMBOK, and it was very much influenced by the work of Peter Morris. He wrote a book in 1987, right, which was called Managing Projects. He reversed the two. Instead of project management, it was all about managing projects. And he started to look at it holistically. He started to look at projects having a beginning, middle, and end. And he brought in a lot of different thinking. Now, from there, the UK PMBOK adopted a lot of that thinking, and they started to broaden out the body of knowledge. The IPMA, which is the parent organisation to the PMAC, adopted the UK PMBOK, and they basically expanded it further. So you've got these different paradigms that are at work with these different bodies of knowledge, and they've been improving the situation. The Japanese P2M, that's really interesting, because that evolved out of Toyota looking at the supply chain. Now, I know a number of the presentations talked about the challenges with contractors and subcontractors. Well, one of the challenges that Toyota was having was lining up all the contractors in the supply chain, ensuring that your end product is actually going to be met by what the deliveries of each individual contractor are. And the P2M basically evolved out of that. It was about lining up contractors and supply chain and so on. A very different paradigm to the previous paradigms we talked about. So you've got 4 different bodies of knowledge that are underpinned by different paradigms and different drivers shaping these. There's a different historiography that's affected these. And this is the problem that we have today. In fact, the problem, if you listen to Peter Morris and the academics, is the PMBOK is actually dominating the thinking within project management circles. Like, most people use that as the default. And again, the PMBOK, it's great, it's broad, but it's lacking. That there are a lot of areas that need to be filled.